now of these things they keep saying about the divinely inspired gospel according to Mark, which is the first gospel. We all know this is the he's not talking about the secret gospel yet. He's talking about the regular gospel of Mark right here. And he says some are altogether falsifications, and others, even if they do contain some true elements, nevertheless are not reported truly. For the true things being mixed with the inventions are falsified, so that, as the saying goes, the salt loses its savor. As for Mark, then, during Peter's stay in Rome, and this is also relayed by Eusebius, he wrote an account of the Lord's doings, not, however, declaring all of them, nor yet hinting at the secret ones, but selecting what he thought most useful for increasing the faith of those who were being instructed. Basically showing you that this is mostly mythology. It's to get people to believe. He's connecting it to the Old Testament and other stuff. He's making this a myth for people to believe in. And then he gets into this part. When Peter died a martyr, Mark came over to Alexandria, bringing both his own notes and those of Peter, from which he transferred to his former book the things suitable to whatever makes progress toward knowledge. So now he's talking about the secret book now. Thus he composed a more spiritual gospel for the use of those who were being perfected. Clearly talking about two different books of Mark here. In the first one he says even that one's falsified. But then he says Mark goes even deeper in the second one. So in both cases, Clement of Alexandria is admitting that Mark is mostly mythology.
What do you know about the secret gospel of Mark? Forget all the Morton Smith stuff. What do you know about the document itself?
I just know that there's to be honest, the Morton Smith stuff is all I know. I just know that there was a letter that was given to Clement. From Clement to another person about this book. And he talks about how Mark wrote the original Gospels, and then he wrote another one for the greater mysteries in Egypt, in Alexandria, which to me sounds normal for the time period. There's a lot of mystery religions happening in Alexandria.
Yeah, he was relating that's what religious.
The New Testament scholars do not want anything to do with this thing. In fact, it disappeared. Right. Even he admits it was very sketchy how it disappeared because we can't analyze it. If we can analyze it, we would know.
Right.
The fact that it disappeared makes me think that it was Christian scholars that got rid of it. They didn't want this thing because and I'll give you a reason why. In the text, so as you can see, is letter of Clement of Alexandria on secret Mark.
Yes.
Now, do you want to read should I read the whole thing?
Yeah, let's just read it together.
Okay. You did well in silencing the unspeakable teachings of the Carpocrations, for these are the wandering stars referenced in the prophecy, who wander from the narrow road of the commandments into boundless abyss of carnal and bodily sins. For priding themselves in knowledge or gnosis, I would throw a little slash in there, because that's really what this is, as they say of the deep shining things of Satan. They do not know that they are casting themselves away into the netherworld of the darkness of falsity, boasting that they are free, that they have become slaves of servile desires. Such men are to be opposed in all ways and altogether. For even if they should say something true, one who loves the truth should not even say, that's a fallacy right there. Even if it's true, it's not true. For not in all things are the truth, nor should that truth which merely seems to be true according to human opinions be preferred to the truth than according to the faith. So he's just admitting that they don't have the real truth, but let's pretend our truth is the truth. That's what he just said.
I think it's even more insidious than that, Neil. Because
it gets worse.
Yeah, because he says, you're not seeing what you're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is where it gets crazy, because it goes, now of these things they keep saying about the divinely inspired gospel according to Mark, which is the first gospel. We all know this is he's not talking about the secret gospel yet. He's talking about the regular gospel of Mark right here. And he says some are altogether falsifications, and others, even if they do contain some true elements, nevertheless are not reported truly. For the true things being mixed with the inventions are falsified, so that, as the saying goes, the salt loses its savor. As for Mark, then, during Peter's stay in Rome, and this is also relayed by Eusebius, he wrote an account of the Lord's doings, not, however, declaring all of them, nor yet hinting at the secret ones, but selecting what he thought most useful for increasing the faith of those who are being instructed. Basically showing you that this is mostly mythology. It's to get people to believe. He's connecting it to the Old Testament and other stuff. He's making this a myth for people to believe in. And then he gets into this part. But when Peter died a martyr, Mark came over to Alexandria, bringing both his own notes and those of Peter, from which he transferred to his former book the things suitable to whatever makes progress toward knowledge. So now he's talking about the secret book now. Thus he composed a more spiritual gospel for the use of those who are being perfected. So
okay, what is that? Stop right there. What does that mean?
So this is a different. This is talking about the secret book.
Okay, what does that secret book do? How do they use it? He says right in front of you.
Compose a more spiritual gospel for the use of those who are being perfected.
Yeah. What does that mean? That more spiritual is the word pneumatic, pneumatikos or pneumatikos, and that is if you haven't seen that in anything Pythagorean, you haven't been reading anything Pythagorean.
Ooh.
Right. So this is a very specific this is a technical term. You classify this as a technical term. And then what is so that is the special pneumatic power, right? But what is the perfection? What is the perfection of the person? In Greek, it's teleia, right? Their initiation. He starts talking about the things that are areton, that they learn in their initiation that they're not supposed to repeat, right? This is a mystery cult we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So there is a secret mark that is written for the sake of those who are being initiated.
Right.
Right. Everybody else, we can lie to them. We don't need to, right? It's those initiates that we're looking at. Okay.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And that's reflected in the words of Jesus himself.
Right, exactly.
Because to the masses, I tell them the parables, but I want to pull this up real quick.
Right. Is that the work of one author, or is it a style question? Is it a colloquialism that's being used? All of these things can pull in. Okay, so Mark uses this type of religious expression, right? He refers to this.
But that's what makes this more credible, because it's reflecting off the actual Gospel of Mark itself. Here's what the Gospel of Mark says. Jesus began to teach by the lake. The crowd gathered around him that was so large it got into a boat. So this is a lot of people, not just the inner mysteries. Everyone's there.
Right.
The crowd gathered around, got into a boat, and he sat out in the lake while all the people were along the shore at the water's edge. He taught them many things by parables, and in his teaching said, listen, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path. Birds ate it up. Some fell on rocky ones. Okay, we all know that parable. So then Jesus said, whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. When he was
wait, that expression, whoever has ears to hear, let him hear, that is an Orphic expression. Comes straight out of the Orphic hymns or out of any of the Orphic literature. And so is he using Orphic there? Yeah, he is. Good.
I believe that too. I think you're right about that. Especially when you look into the Orphic Dionysian mysteries, there's so many commonalities between the two. But anyways, let's keep going. When he was alone with the 12, the others around him asked about the parables. He told them, the secret of the kingdom of God has been given to you. But those on the outside, everything is said in parables, so that they may be ever seeing but never perceiving, and ever hearing but never understanding. Otherwise, they might turn and be forgiven.
Right. That's the part that Mark mentions again, or that Clement mentions again, right? He's about to quote that. So keep reading the Clement so we can hear that later.
Yeah, so now I just wanted to get that out the way. So now we know that these two paths are coinciding now.
Right.
All right, so then it says, thus he composed a more spiritual gospel for those who are being perfected. Nevertheless, he yet did not divulge the things not to be uttered, nor did he write down the hierophantic teaching of the Lord. But to the stories already written, he added yet others, moreover, brought in certain sayings of which he knew the interpretation would, as a mystagogue, lead the hearers into the innermost sanctuary of the truth hidden by the seven veils. Thus, in some...
Now, what's a mystagogue?
I don't know, but I know the hierophantic word is something that you see in the Hermetic tradition in Egypt. That's
Yeah,
that's a specific word for the Egyptian hermetic religion, hierophant.
it's what the theurgists are doing. It's
Yeah.
what Julian does. Julian has to have a hierophant to be able to get one of his statues to become motivated, right?
Right.
What is a mystagogue? A mystagogue is someone who literally leads you in the initiation, in the mystery. Okay, so he, as a mystagogue, he knows there's a certain way to do this where you can inform the children of light. Okay, so he's doing it, right? And keep going. What does he say?
Thus, in sum, he prepared matters, never grudgingly, nor incautiously, in my opinion. And dying, he left his composition to the church, and one verso Alexandria, where it even yet is most carefully guarded, being read only to those who are being initiated into the greater mysteries.
Okay, so he didn't divulge the things not to be uttered. The areton. Again, look up the Orphics. You'll see it in the Orphics. The areton. He wasn't supposed to divulge. He knew not to divulge those secrets. Nor did he write down the hierophantic teaching of the Lord, but to the stories already written, he added yet others, moreover, brought in certain sayings. That word certain sayings is logia. Those are oracles. And that's why he says in the text, the interpretation of which, the understanding of these oracles. Jesus is quoting oracles. The Christians are first called Sibylists, right? It's the first name they get. The followers of the way are Sibylists. They're oracle mongers, as the Romans called them.
Wow.
Okay.
So I just want to point something out. I want to highlight something real quick. He's clearly talking about two different books of Mark here. In the first one, he says even that one's falsified. But then he says Mark goes even deeper in the second one. So in both cases, Clement and Alexandria is admitting that Mark is mostly mythology.
Here's the problem. You forgot about the Carpocratic connection, right? So the real problem is Karpocrates. Theodore has written to Clement, and he said, hey, they're saying stuff about Mark was writing shit about man with man naked and stuff. And is this stuff really in the secret gospel? And Clement tells him, he says, yeah, he weaseled his way in here. He fooled one of the presbyters into getting a copy of Mark, secret Mark. And then he made these falsifications based on his own gross carnal sarks, baby. He's getting his sarks up in there. You know what I mean? Getting his meat up in there. That's literally what he says. So the falsifications here are coming, he's claiming, from Karpocrates. And
that's the next sentence, the second next sentence. But since the foul demons are always devising destruction for the race of men, Karpocrates, instructed by them in using deceitful arts, so enslaved a certain presbyter of the Church of Alexandria that he got from him a copy of the secret gospel, which he both interpreted according to his blasphemous and carnal doctrine, moreover, polluted, mixing with the spotless and holy words utterly shameless lies. From this mixture is drawn off teaching of the Carpocrations, like you just said. Now, this leaves us for the question.
Yeah.
So we have two different Christianities at this point already. We have the Carpocration version, this mystery, inner mysteries, inner secrets, inner gnosis type of interpretation. And then we have this sort of weak, just have faith type of Christianity that Clement's talking about here.
And we have two classes of Christians. So those are two sects, right, that you're talking about? But we also have two classes of Christians. We have those who have been initiated into the greater mysteries and perfected with the secret Mark, and those who haven't. And you shouldn't talk to those who haven't about the secrets of secret Mark. And he's about to tell you why, which is really, look at the programming in this. It's fucking brilliant. Read it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And before I read the next part, I just want to mention, why would Mark 4 exist if there wasn't a secret initiation? Otherwise, what the hell is the point of having Mark 4 at all? Why would you
have people with ears to hear, right? Why would you have him teaching using mystagogic words so that those of us who don't have ears have no clue about what's going on.
Yeah. Otherwise, Jesus would say, "Hey, just have faith, and you guys are fine."
Right? Because why is all that? Because there's naked boys. There's naked.
We're about to get to that.
Okay. Go. Let's keep going.
So to them, therefore, I said above, one must never give away, nor when they put forward their falsifications, should one concede that the secret gospel is by Mark.
Okay, stop there. No, you shouldn't concede. He's not saying the secret gospel is not by Mark. He's saying when they come forward and they're telling you their things, don't concede that Mark wrote that thing. Okay, keep going.
And this goes back to the beginning where he says, even if it's true, it's not really true. It's like, dude, Clement uses so many fallacies. It's not even funny. He would get an F in any philosophy class.
Dude, it's how you keep the boys, right? Ask
just whatever they say isn't true. Don't believe it. That's what they say. So then, okay, so let's keep going.
Yeah,
go ahead. You can deny it on oath. For not all things are said to all men. For this reason, the wisdom of God, through Solomon, advises, answer the fool from his folly, teaching that the light of the truth should be hidden from those who are mentally blind. Again, it says, from him who has not shall be taken away.
The first to last and the last first, you bitch. It's number one rule of the.
And it's funny, he's using the same language that he's talking against in this letter. Right. He's doing the same thing. He said, "Oh, we have the real secrets. They just can't see it." But right. he's condemning that same type of mindset.
Right. Because it's a mystery, man. Christianity is a fucking mystery.
Right. Yeah. Then he says, okay, from him who shall be taken away, let the fool walk in darkness. But we are children of light, having been illuminated by the day spring of the Spirit of the Lord from on high. And where the Spirit of the Lord is, it says there is liberty. And he just criticized them for being free and liberty, for being boasting about being free.
Right, but his Bacchic revelry that got him to the wellspring, that's the freedom that he's pushing, right?
Right.
So of course. Beautifully done, Clement. Yeah. Look at all the sayings of Jesus that all of a sudden become, oh, wait a minute, that's mystery.
Right.
You know, the children of the light, what those bastards are smattered all over the place, right? The day spring. Who's the day spring? What is the Spirit of the Lord? Why is it that word liberty? And why does he keep making the contrast between liberty and slavery? Does that help us date this? Does that help us judge the authenticity of this? Yes, it does. When is that debate? When is everything about the contrast between freedom, the freedom of the soul and of the spirit, and the domination or slavery of the flesh? What's your sarx say? Right? What's your flesh say? Well, guess what? That dates it from about 200 BC till about 200 AD. Okay, so we're in the right range, bro. This is what linguistic analysis is. And I'm going to point out a couple more. As you read it, I'm going to point out some of the Greek vocabulary that you're not saying. Go ahead.
All right, so now he wants to get into the refutation. He says, therefore, I should not hesitate to answer the questions you have asked, refuting the falsifications by the very words of the gospel. For example, and after they were on the road going up to Jerusalem, and what follows, after 3 days he shall arise. The secret gospel brings the following material word for word. Wow. Good. This is great that he gave us this. And they come into Bethany, and a certain woman whose brother had died was there. And coming, she prostrated herself before Jesus and says to him, Son of David, have mercy on me. But the disciples rebuked her, and Jesus, being angered, went off with her into the garden where the tomb was, and straightway a great cry was heard from the tomb. And going near, Jesus rolled away the stone away from the door of the tomb, and straightway going in where the youth was, he stretched forth his hand and raised him, seizing his hand. But the youth, looking up upon him, loved him, and began to beseech him that he might be with him. And going out of the tomb, they came into the house of the youth, for he was rich. And after 6 days, Jesus told him what to do. And in the evening, the youth comes to him, wearing a linen cloth over his naked body. And he remained with him that night, for Jesus taught him the mystery of the kingdom of God. And thence arising, he returned to the other side of the Jordan.
Okay. And after that, the kid's mother shows up and Jesus refuses to see her, right?
And the sister of the youth who Jesus loved and his mother Salome were there, and Jesus did not receive them.
Right. So he doesn't want to have anything to do with her or Salome, either one. Now, what do we do here with this paragraph? Supposedly that's genuine secret Mark, right? That's the genuine text that they use in these initiation ceremonies to purify the person. Okay, so there's a reason that stuff is there. Remember, he's the mystagogue teaching you. So if Jesus is the mystagogue who's leading this, what's going on with the boy? Okay, and what are some very specifics here? Notice that it says he was dead to start with. That's just apothnesko. There's nothing weird about that. Supposedly the kid is dead in the tomb, right? Right. So a great cry is heard, and Jesus goes over and rolls off the tomb. The text says the stone, the lithon, from the tura, from the doorway. People translate this as door, but it's not. It's the doorway because they looked at a doorway as some kind of special magical place with the two uprights and the one on top, right? That configuration allows you to penetrate space, right? Anyway, he rolls away the stone from that. The stone is the actual door, right? And by the way, this kid's in a mausoleum in a garden, right? So this dude has money. That's why it says he's wealthy. But what does Jesus do? He says, the kid gets up, you know, he gets the kid, he brings the kid back to life, and he asks him to go to his house with him, right? He ends up being there for 6 days, but he gives the kid specific instructions then on what to do. And the kid comes to him, and see where it says with that linen cloth over his naked body, that uses the verb peribalo and sindon, the word for that impregnated cloth, linen, and it uses it in the very same way that the Gospel of Mark does. So there's plenty of internal evidence that this is actual Mark. It's using the very same phraseology, right? Okay, so from one angle, we can get it. We can get it. What about semantics? Are the definitions being used here the same? Do we see a lot of overlap, right, of the basic definitions? Like, what is this? What is this mystery? He teaches them the mystery. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's definitely some initiation, right? That's what it seems like.
Do we see any more of that? He's in a cemetery. He's being initiated. There's a nudity that's going on.
He's going to die the next day too.
So where else have we seen that? That's the Garden of Gethsemane, right?
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. The garden.
Yeah, it's no different. There's no difference in setting.
This is after he goes to Jerusalem. Bethany is literally touching Jerusalem. Like it's the same place.
So he stops off for this.
Same place. It's like saying it's like being in Manhattan in the Bronx. Like it's the same place.
Okay, so do you think are you implying then that the kid who was in the cemetery, the private cemetery
where is the Garden of Gethsemane? Let's look up where is the Garden of Gethsemane.
Look near the Mount of Olives, right?
Yeah, but this could be right. Well, how do we know it's not right next to Bethany?
Well, look it up. Let's see if it's the same location.
All right, let's see it. Garden of Gethsemane. Yeah, it's right. It's literally in between Bethany and Jerusalem, right in between them. I'm not kidding. I'm looking at the map right now.
Harris Palace.
I'm going to show you. I got to show you this.
No. I see. We have to pick up the narrative of Mark though from that point.
Yeah. I think you're right.
And see where it does he go around? How long is this before? Because to be honest, I don't remember how long this is for Gethsemane. But excellent point. He's in the same neighborhood. But what is it with the fact that it's a boy? The boy is naked and there's a tomb involved and some kind of rite where Jesus goes in and raises the kid from the dead. Is that what he did with the kid in the cemetery in Gethsemane?
No, he did that with Lazarus.
Yeah, well, Lazarus he brought out of a tomb somewhere else.
Yeah,
but when he's with the naked boy, right, in Gethsemane,
I don't really say much about him in the regular.
it kind of leaves him out of the detail, doesn't it?
That's why I
But
think this is the real extended version of that.
yeah, if he does, maybe this is the section that was supposed to be. Hang on, you know what we could do? Let's just solve this.
I just looked at the Garden of Gethsemane.
What verses are in Mark?
It's Mark 14.
Oh, okay. So it is right before. It's right before Gethsemane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Same thing. This is the same location.
Okay. Beautiful. Nice job. Nice job. So
Yeah.
how do we reconstruct this then? Jesus came to Jerusalem. On the way, he stopped in Bethany. And before he got arrested with a kid in a public park in Jerusalem, he spent 6 nights with another naked kid, or possibly the same naked kid, on his estate, and taught him the mystery. If it's the same kid that he's working with, did he just go back and pick up this kid for the Last Supper?
Dude, Mount of Olives is right next to Gethsemane. I'm not kidding. Like, it's the same place. Mount of Olives, Gethsemane.
So he's got an estate nearby.
You want to see this? I'm looking at Google Maps right now.
So this is a rich kid with an estate nearby. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. If you look at Jerusalem, to the east of Jerusalem, first thing you see is the Garden of Gethsemane. And then a little bit east of that is the Mount of Olives. So this is how close Gethsemane is to Jerusalem. It's closer to Jerusalem than Mount of Olives is. And then Bethany is right next. Bethany is in the same location, basically, the same area.
So so wouldn't that imply then, if Jesus is on his way there, that this is that naked kid?
Yes. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's the same story. There's Bethany. Okay. Yeah, it's all on the same road. It's all in the same region. It's all East Jerusalem. We're talking about the eastern suburbs of Jerusalem, all this area. That's all it is.
You should go there when you go in October.
Oh, I will. I will definitely take a look at this spot.
Yeah, spend some time on the Mount of Olives. We had to take a.
No, that's one of the main spots we're going to. So I'll be able to map this whole entire thing out and see if this is possible. And this is just an extended version of the Gethsemane narrative. I think it is.
Or could it be an addition? Could it be like the narrative says that Jesus?
What I'm saying is, I think it might be the same boy.
Yeah, no, but maybe that night it's in the public cemetery, whereas the night before it was the kid's own, right? Because it's on his estate. He's a rich kid who's there, right?
Right. Yeah, you're right. Because he doesn't get arrested in this narrative.
No, no. So is this something that he's doing?
But it's funny. That means it happens twice then. What is he doing with all these naked kids twice, 2 nights in a row?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. It happened twice. Is it the same story? You know?
I don't know, because it doesn't. I don't think it's the same story, because it doesn't have anything to do with you don't see anything about the other disciples. The only thing you see is John and somebody else.
Can you see this?
John and somebody else came to visit.
Can you see this right now?
Connected up with him. Yeah. Nice.
This is Jerusalem.
Nice.
Look. Gethsemane. And then you have Mount of Olives over here. All of it. And then this is basically Bethany too, right here.
So is that area considered Bethany? That part of that part of the Mount of Olives, is that considered Bethany?
Yes, this is Bethany.
Okay, the ancient site of Bethany.
It's Eastern Jerusalem. That's what Bethany is, basically. Eastern Jerusalem.
So the kid was rich and he had a place there, or his family had a place there. And Jesus is with him when his sister comes to tell him that he's dying, that he's dead. Yeah. Jesus raises him from the dead and then spends 6 days with him.
See?
And then I don't know how much time between then, but somehow he ends up next time we see him at the Last Supper, and he's doing his deal at the Last Supper, and then goes out to Gethsemane, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. That just tells you a lot about his last 2 days before he goes to his trial. Is this why he gets arrested, maybe?
If I was caught in a public park.
No, but think about it. We don't.
Yeah,
They say he's completely innocent But dude, is that really plausible that some innocent person they're just going to kill him for no reason? No,
Yeah.
he did something.
You see why they wanted to not why they wanted to not face the secret mark?
Yeah, this is why he really got arrested.
Openly says that Jesus was a mystagogue, and he knew.
And look at the Talmud. What does it say about his crucifixion? He says he was practicing magic and leading Israel astray.
And he was accused.
Israel astray. That's the youth. You can't lead well informed, educated. Do you lead the youth astray? That's what they're probably talking about. They're probably talking about the youth.
They're pulling a Socrates on him. But notice they also claimed he was casting out devils by the means of Beelzebul, right?
Casting out. What do you think he's doing right there? Casting out devils. That's what I think. So I think we figured out what the hell Jesus really was doing.
He's teaching them the mystery, though. And you can't take this to the ordinary person, because why? We're the children of light. Allow them to walk in darkness. The first will be last, and the last shall be first, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
He specifically says that they're the fool will walk in darkness. He says, what does he say? He says that they are the wandering stars. They're slaves of their desires. Like he's saying they're basically wicked, a bunch of wicked people.
Yeah, he says they've been prophesied about, right? Now, what is that wandering stars? That's asteres planetoi, right? Literally the planets and the stars. Why would you accuse somebody of being the planets and the stars? Because that's what the magician does when they draw down that planetary wanderer, right? That's what the possession is all about. You do that in order to drive out those spirits, like the 7 spirits that Jesus drove out of Mary, right? That's part of the magic. So is that why the 7 veils are there in that passage? Yeah. It's some kind of esoteric thing. But what are wandering stars? Those are magician's assistant, baby. They follow their stars. How'd those magi find Jesus?
Wait. We got to go back to this for a second, because you just made a good point.
Yeah.
This going out of the tomb, they came to the house of the youth, for he was rich. After 6 days, Jesus told him what to do. This is a whole week.
Yeah.
This isn't one day. I was wrong about that. This is a whole week.
Yeah, he's with the kid. He's with the kid for 6 days.
6 days.
Yeah, I think that's why mommy came after.
Wait a minute. So one of those days could be the Garden of Gethsemane scene, for all we know. If he's with him for 6 days, they're not just going to be sitting in one room the whole time. They're probably moving around, right?
Now, why do you want to conflate those two? Why couldn't he have been with his kid?
I think this is all connected. I think the scene that we're reading from is a long version of the scene right before he gets arrested. This is what the reason why I'm so focused on connecting these two together, because I think this is why he gets arrested. Leading Israel astray for practicing idolatry and magic. This is what he's doing. So whatever for whatever reason, Mark had to leave. Because Mark could have left all this shit out. It's meaningless unless it has some sort of unless it adds something to the narrative. And if you think about it, if this is why he gets arrested, then of course Mark would add this in there.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That's why you can't teach these things.
Otherwise, why even put it in there? What does it even? It's not saying anything about anything.
Yeah, when you initiate somebody into the mysteries, it has to remain quiet. Even the Templars know that, right? This is not public information. Why do you think he says at the end, he says, Clement says to him, by the way, that stuff about man with man, man flesh on man flesh, naked man on naked man, that's not, he says in secret.
Let me share my screen one more time to show whoever's watching this. This is like the nail in the coffin. This is like the final, okay, now we're onto something here. After these words, follows the text, and James and John come to him. And all that section, but naked man with naked man, and other things about which you wrote are not found. And after the words, and he comes into Jericho, the secret gospel adds only, and the sister, we already talked about that part. That's when his sister and mom comes. Naked man with naked man. So what do you think this is? You think this is an extra scene that's taken out of the mark, or do you think this is a retelling? What do you think it is?
I think the letter, we just have to take the letter for what it says. I don't want to add it. This is why I was mad. This is why I was mad. Because I don't think as the religious studies scholar will push ahead and say, well, how do we make meaning from this? We don't. We just work with our evidence. The evidence is a purported letter from Clement saying there is this secret mark that we use in initiations, and this mark contains this passage. And what we can do then is take that passage and say, does this match elements of Mark? And as you pointed out yourself, it does. So what can we say about it? What conclusion can we say about that? Somebody at some point had an extra bit of the gospel that was cut out for some reason. And does it mesh with the mystery religious activities, the mystery religion activities? Yeah, it meshes perfectly with them. He uses the same machinery, uses the same terminology. So yeah, what do we do with that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we should it would be nice if we still had the copy of it, but I think there's enough to go off with it, and it seems legit to me. I really do think that. I think it's legit.
Who's the naked boy? That's what I want to know. Why is there a naked boy with him?
What if he is one of these early church fathers that this is when he was young? What if this is like Facilities or something? No, actually, we would know that. Facilities says, oh, never mind. Anyway, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows who it is? What if this is one of those early church fathers that, for all we know, like you got to wonder. This is a true story. What happened to this kid? What did he grow up to be? Or did he lose his mind and get killed or something? Who knows?
If that girl in Samaria that Ezekiel is talking about, if you said she entered at 9 years old, and that sounds odd to us, right? It sounds odd, but we know that Diana has the bears, and her bears are only 9 to 11-year-old girls, right? Who are involved in ritual. So is it odd for this little kid to be with Jesus and to be naked doing this kind of cemetery resurrection?
Oh, no. What? It's like in today you have your bar mitzvah, you have your communion. It's all young age stuff. But these are repeats of what the ancients were doing with a lot more realistic, a lot more serious rites.
There might be.
You have just attained true gnosis. The demiurge has no power over you.